If you buy a house in this city, over 90% of your income will go towards your housing needs, and that is your mortgage, property tax, and utilities. Without even considering your car payment, insurance, grocery, childcare, travel, saving, investment, and so much more of all the things that you need to enjoy life. Today, we will deep dive into housing affordability and the latest RBC report to discover why it's very hard to buy a house in Canada, and once you buy it, why it's very difficult to sustain that. Hello everyone, my name is Parth Soni. I'm a realtor based in Ontario. If you are looking to purchase your first home or looking for an investment property, reach out to me and happy to help you out. Now, very first, let's understand what is the state of affordability in 2025. And I have good news and bad news. So let's start with the good news. The good news is the mortgage rates have dropped for the fourth straight quarter, cutting home ownership cost nationwide. Like Toronto and Vancouver saw the biggest improvements. Toronto measure fell 13.1 percent point to 70.8%, while Vancouver dropped to 92.8%. And the bad news is affordability is still at historically stretched level. In Vancouver, you will need over 92.8% of your median income going towards the house to own a house. That's like working 11 months a year just to pay for the house. Now, if you look at over here, you will see the median approximately all over Canada is 55.9% based on 2025. And if you see over the average, that is what it's happening in all across the Canada. As an average, it's little over 40%, but right now it's 55.9%. So across Canada, people are paying 55.9% of their income just towards the house. And when compare all the cities in Canada, so as we know that Canada is 55.9%, Vancouver is at 92.8%, where Toronto is 70.8%, and rest of the cities are only at 33.6% in Edmonton, which is very accurate in terms of what the ideal payment should go towards the housing needs. And just to give you an idea, this is after we see a rate cut. If you see on the chart over here, like you see, like back in 2023 peak, it was at the highest. Roughly, the median was over 55%, approximately just 70% of the income going towards the housing needs. And just so to give you an idea, based on the recent graph, this is an improved affordability. And let's see why affordability improved and why it's still not. Just to make homes more affordable, either of these three things need to happen. The very first one is the rate cut, the second is the income growth, and the third one is the lower house prices. Now let's talk about the rate cut, the primary driver of relief in this current economy. And this is the biggest factor. The Bank of Canada aggressively rate cuts in 2024 and 2025 slashed borrowing costs, reducing the income needed to cover house ownership expenses by 7.7 percentage point nationally since late 2023. Now, lower rates alone accounted for 80% of the affordability gains, particularly in a high-cost market like Toronto and Vancouver. So, to give you an example, a household buying a $750,000 house in Toronto would save roughly about $800 a month on their mortgage payment compared to 2023 peak rates. But here's the catch. This cut only reverts 1/3 of the pandemic era affordability erosion. Even with rates stabilizing, RBC projects it could take until 2027 to recover half of the lost ground. Now let's talk about the second factor, that is an income growth. So household income rose to 4.4% year over year in 2024 thanks to the tight labor market and wages adjustment. This shaved 1.2 percent points of affordability measures, but the growth is slowing. Labor market weakness like rising unemployment in manufacturing hub due to the trade tension, it's putting a lid on future wage. Meanwhile, home prices are still climbing in many markets like Edmonton, for an instance, sees year-over-year growth of 0.9% in 2024, offsetting the benefits of lower rates. And same with Calgary, with the population booming, it's still at the record high. Now the third factor, let's talk about supply and demand imbalance. Now just to give you an idea, Canada needs 3.5 million additional homes by 2030 to restore affordability, but construction is lagging. Even with zoning reforms and federal programs like $4 billion Housing Accelerator Fund, progress is still very low. For example, Hamilton plans to build 21,000 homes, faces delay due to labor shortage and bureaucratic hurdles. And here's the paradox. Building more homes in one super cities like Toronto or Vancouver risks attracting even more migrants from smaller cities, keeping demand and the pricing at very high level. A recent study done by CD Howe Institute argues Canada needs more large attractive secondary cities like Regina and Halifax to balance growth, but this requires decades of policy coordination. Now let's talk about the fourth factor, that is inflation and trade wars. Now this is not new. We all know what is happening in Canada right now. The tension between US and Canada, that is very uncertain as of now. The US-Canada trade war zone frozen buyer confidence in early of 2025, causing a 29% drop in Toronto home sales in February alone. Now tariff fears also threatens job in auto market and manufacturing sector. Hubs like 𝗦𝗬𝗧𝗔𝗟 is also impacting by that. Meanwhile, inflation is eating into your saving. Even as mortgage costs fell, food prices rose to 22.7% and gas at 34% since 2018. For renters who spend 33% of their income on shelter, this is kind of a double squeeze on them. And all of this does affect builder and developer in the city as well. Now, if you are someone who wants to know more about it, there are so many builders who went bankrupt. Check out this video over here, which will give you a detailed idea of what is happening in the builder community. Now let's talk about who is winning and who is losing. So it's very regional. Let's talk about the regional market across Canada. Now let's start with Vancouver. That is at 92.8%. It's still least affordable major market. A condo is the only option for so many people out there. The second on the list is Toronto with 70.8% going towards the housing needs of your income. Now improved, but condo oversupply is pushing prices down. Buyers have leverage now if they are able to afford it. The third on the spot is Calgary with 41.5%, a strong hotspot for how many investors and people are also immigrating to that province compared to any other in the region. Now, Regina comes at the most affordable with 26.1%, which is below the ideal, which is where really the good balanced life structure lies. And Halifax at 44.8%, again improved affordability, but still buyers face so many challenges with low inventory and higher cost down there. Now let's check out RBC report, and this is what RBC is predicting right now. So right now we are at 55.9% of the income going towards housing. Now based on RBC prediction, Q2 of 2026, we should aim for 51.3% in that category. And just to give you an idea, in the ideal world scenario, no more than 25% of your income should go towards your housing needs. And if you're someone who's looking to get a calculator and put down all your expenses down there based on your lifestyle, check the first link in the description and I will get you a calculator based on it. Now let's talk about the trade war. And that is the wild card which happened in last couple of months. The very first factor in this is the market freeze. Now, fear of US tariff caused 29% drop in Toronto home sales in February of 2024, and buyers and sellers are hitting pause. We are seeing so many buyers who are pre-approved but not moving forward because of so much uncertainty. The second factor in this one is the economic ripple effect. Now, job losses in trade-dependent cities like 𝗦𝗬𝗧𝗔𝗟 and Montreal could further destabilize housing demand. And there are some long-term risks as well. If the trade war drags on, expect slower prices growth and weaker buyer confidence. And that is what we are seeing in majority of the major market out there in Canada. Now let's see what are the policy solutions to this and will they work or not. Now the very first on this one would be supply side fixes like zoning reforms and faster permit could help, but results take years. The second on this one is the demand side relief. Now extended amortization, we have seen extended amortization coming into effect like 30 years, 40 years. It is like it's been there for a while. That could help buyers out there to lower their monthly mortgage, but still when you are taking those kind of debt, your amortization, when you are increasing your amortization, the amount of interest you are paying over a period of time increases so much. And if you are someone who's looking into 25-year, 30-year or 40-year amortization and how much interest you will pay versus investing in a stock, reach out to me. I do have my personal calculator and I can share. So is 2025 the year Canada housing market or the crisis turns around? Maybe, may not be, not sure. With so many uncertainties like trade wars, slow supply growth and stubborn prices means affordability will stay at a uphill battle. And if you are a first-time home buyer, stay patient. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to like